Change control exists because unmanaged modification is one of the most reliable ways to cause outages, introduce security drift, and undermine trust in systems. In complex environments, even small changes can ripple outward in ways that are difficult to predict, especially when dependencies are layered and loosely documented. Without structure, change becomes reactive, and reactive change tends to prioritize speed over understanding. A disciplined change control process does not exist to slow progress, and it exists to make progress safe, repeatable, and explainable when something goes wrong. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to the CISS books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyberauthor.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. Changes take many forms, and limiting the definition to code releases alone misses much of the real risk. Configuration edits can alter security posture instantly by weakening access controls, disabling logging, or changing network exposure. Infrastructure updates can shift capacity, availability zones, or trust boundaries in ways that affect many services at once. Policy adjustments can change who is authorized to do what, sometimes without any technical signal at all. Treating all of these as changes subject to control ensures that risk is evaluated consistently, rather than only when software is deployed. A change request record is the foundation of control because it captures intent and context before action occurs. At a minimum, the record should explain the purpose of the change, the scope of what will be modified, the systems or services affected, and the expected outcome. It should also identify risk at a high level so reviewers understand why the change matters. This documentation is not bureaucratic filler, and it is what allows others to assess the change without relying on informal explanations. When request records are clear, approval becomes a reasoned decision rather than a rubber stamp. Impact analysis builds on the request by examining what could go wrong and how severe the consequences might be. This analysis considers dependencies, such as shared services or downstream consumers that could be affected unexpectedly. Availability impact matters because a change that causes even brief downtime can be unacceptable for critical systems. Security exposure must be evaluated because some changes temporarily weaken controls during deployment or alter trust relationships. Rollback feasibility is also essential because a change that cannot be reversed safely carries more risk than one with a clear recovery path. Approval authority should vary based on risk level, environment, and system criticality because not every change deserves the same scrutiny. Low-risk changes in development environments may be approved quickly by peers or automated workflows. High-risk changes in production, especially those affecting sensitive data or core services, require review by individuals with sufficient authority to accept the potential impact. This graduated approach prevents bottlenecks while preserving oversight where it matters most. When approval levels are defined in advance, teams know what to expect and delays are reduced. Segregation of duties is a core principle in change control because it reduces the chance of error or abuse going unnoticed. Separating the roles of requester, approver, and implementer ensures that no single individual controls the entire process. This separation encourages independent review and makes it harder for risky changes to bypass scrutiny. It also protects individuals by distributing responsibility, which is important in environments where mistakes can have serious consequences. Segregation does not require rigid silos, and it requires clear role boundaries at critical decision points. Maintenance windows are another practical control that balance progress with stability. By defining when changes occur, Organizations can align deployment with periods of lower business activity and ensure support staff are available. Maintenance windows also set expectations with stakeholders, reducing surprise when services behave differently during planned change periods. Not all systems require the same windows, and flexibility is important, but unplanned change during peak usage is a common cause of avoidable incidents. Predictable timing is a simple control that yields outsized reliability benefits. Emergency change handling acknowledges that not all situations allow for full process, but speed does not eliminate the need for accountability. Emergencies may require immediate action to restore service or close an active security exposure. In these cases, abbreviated approval paths are appropriate, but documentation and review must still occur afterward. Emergency changes should be tracked, reviewed, and analyzed to determine whether process improvements could reduce future urgency. Treating emergencies as exceptions rather than as normal practice preserves both agility and discipline. Implementation plans translate approved intent into controlled execution by defining steps, validation checks, and backout actions. A clear plan reduces improvisation during deployment and ensures everyone involved understands their role. Validation checks confirm whether the change achieved its intended outcome without introducing unintended effects. Backout actions define what to do if validation fails, which reduces hesitation and limits damage. When implementation plans are explicit, changes proceed with confidence rather than guesswork. Post-change validation is where assumptions are tested, and it is often the difference between a successful change and a latent failure. Validation should confirm not only that the primary function works, but that security controls, monitoring, and integrations remain intact. This step catches issues that may not be immediately visible, such as disabled logging or weakened authentication flows. Skipping validation is a common shortcut under time pressure, and it often leads to incidents that appear unrelated to the change. Consistent validation closes the loop between intent and outcome. Change logs provide the historical record that supports troubleshooting, learning, and compliance evidence. When an issue arises, the ability to correlate behavior with recent changes accelerates diagnosis and reduces downtime. Logs also demonstrate that changes followed approved processes, which is critical for audits and investigations. A complete change history turns institutional memory into documented fact rather than relying on recollection. Over time, these records reveal patterns that can inform process improvement. Configuration management databases play a supporting role by reflecting the current state after approved changes are implemented. Accurate records of system configuration, relationships, and ownership help teams understand what exists at any given moment. When these databases are updated as part of the change process, they remain trustworthy rather than becoming stale references. This accuracy supports future impact analysis, incident response, and audit preparation. Configuration visibility is a force multiplier for effective change control. Metrics provide insight into how well the change process is working and where it needs adjustment. Tracking success rates, failed changes, and change-related incidents reveals whether controls are effective or merely procedural. Metrics can also highlight where approval delays or excessive rework slow delivery unnecessarily. The purpose of measurement is not to punish, and it is to improve balance between speed and safety. When metrics are reviewed regularly, change control evolves with the organization rather than becoming rigid. Structured approvals ultimately keep systems stable while still enabling necessary evolution, which is the true goal of change control. Clear requests, thoughtful impact analysis, appropriate authority, and disciplined execution create a predictable environment where risk is managed rather than ignored.
Emergency handling, validation, and documentation ensure that even urgent changes remain accountable.
When supported by accurate configuration records and meaningful metrics, change control becomes a facilitator of progress rather than an obstacle.
This balance is what allows organizations to change confidently without sacrificing security or reliability.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.